Akela has asked me, what do you do when a cohort of cubs that you really don't know what to do with are making you think about quitting? What do you do? And it's only happened to me once. I don't know. I'm trying to think about 6, 7 years ago. I had a whole troop. There was about it was a quite big gang of them actually. It was about 5 or 6 of the scouts that just came to scouts and was just messing around. They just wanted to play. They didn't really want to be at scouts as such. They weren't bothered about learning anything. They just wanted to play football or play dodgeball. That's all they wanted to be. And when we were trying to do some activities and badge work, they were just chit chat, chit chat, chit chat, chit chat. So with those scouts, I kind of spoke to him. I pulled him to one side and was like, guys, what's happening? Do you really want to be here? Do you honestly want to be here? And they were like, Mark, we want to be here, with our mates and stuff. I said, guys, you're ruining it for the other 20 scouts or whatever was here. We went camping and the same thing kind of happened. They weren't really bothered about learning camping skills. They didn't want to do anything. All they wanted to do was sit around in a tent and just mess around. They just wanted to chit chat around a campfire. They didn't want to do anything. Basically, I gave them I'm trying to describe what I said, but basically I just said, do you want to be here? Because there's a waiting list. You don't have to be. If you want to play football, go down to the park. And if you just want to chit chat, then stay at home. And it went on like this for about 2 weeks. And I thought, actually, this is enough. I can't do any more of this. This isn't fair for the rest of the scouts. It's not fair for us as leaders who designed the program. And it's not fair to people who are on a waiting list and they want to join scouts. You know what I mean? So I got their parents involved and I said, this is the honest truth. I think, well, one, they don't want to be here. They've openly said they're only here because you the parents are telling them to go. So save yourself 40 quid a term and don't send them to scouts. They don't want to be here. It's wasting my time. It's wasting your time. It's wasting your money. That's it. End of. So that's the only time that I've had that. They've never made me want to quit, like a big gang of them. I made them quit. I gave them no leeway. I just said, that's it. Just go now. You don't want to be here. And the parents, they were unaware of all this kind of thing. So maybe opening up a bit to the parents, Akela, and getting those parents involved, maybe inviting them down to Cubs and getting the parents involved, maybe even if it is just making brews for the leader and squash or whatever, and getting them involved in an activity or running Cubs or whatever. And maybe those Cubs will be a bit better behaved if one of the parents there, and if there's a group of Cubs, they're probably friends and they know that parent, so they might not be as naughty in front of that parent. And maybe the parents just aren't involved and they're not aware. Maybe they are aware of those Cubs and they might have ADHD. They might be hyper. There might be reasons that you, as the Akela, you're not aware of, and the parents can shine a little bit of light and say, actually, we know how to deal with this, and you should deal it in XYZ way. Guys, help me out. How would you answer this question to Akela? Nick saying, yes, we have some scouts that only the same, only interest in football. Absolutely, Nick. We don't play football in my scout group. One, because I hate football, as you probably know. So football doesn't really interest me. And there's a park down the road, and they can play football at school, and they can play the weekend. Why do they need to play at scouts? That's my view of it. We can play every now and then, but not all the time. Or what we do, tell a lie, we play table football. When you got the tables in the sides, in the corners, and they use those as goals. So it's not technically like football, but it's kind of thing like that. Leo, totally not fair on you as leaders there. Leo, it's not just about leaders. I think it's about the other young people that are attending that section as well. If they want to be in Cubs, in my case, it was Scouts, they want to be there, but they're getting interrupted. The activities are being stopped. You've got games being stopped, all that kind of thing. So it's not, it is for the leaders who have prepped it or whatever, but it's also really annoying for the young people who, they want to be there. They want to be with their mates. They want to do skills for life. They want to learn these things. But it's not fair. It's a hard one, Akela, because there's a million and one reasons. Maybe they're just bored. Maybe your program is rubbish. Maybe your program isn't testing them. Maybe they've done everything, or the program that you're doing now just doesn't interest them. there are some things that are just boring, isn't it? For me, it's knots. Knots doesn't do anything for me. So if I was a scout and we got 2 weeks of worth of knots and we're just making, I'm just seeing a knot board just over there. If they're making a knot board, you think, oh, this is boring. Just go and chat to my mate. And that's probably what I would do if I was in scouts. Or if they're making knots and it's not for a purpose, maybe what we do in scouts, we teach knots, we teach lashings, but we make them into chariots and then we race them around the scout hall and things like that. So maybe it is your program isn't challenging enough. So maybe get another leader from another group to look at your program. Let's see what people are saying. Clive saying with scouts, we join with the young people, put a code of behavior together. Also have a patrol competition with points awarded for good behavior, not deducted. Interesting. Why don't you deduct them, Clive? Peer pressure can be a good driver. Peer pressure, absolutely. But let's bring this into Akela's question about Cubs. Let's just try and answer that question. Andy actually is an Akela. Let's see what Andy is suggesting. Simple on next time they go football training, take a load of bits and pieces, sit in the center spot and demonstrate firelighting. Oh, that'll be good. Derek, agree. Knots don't do it for me. Honestly, I do granny knots. That's all I do. Leo saying we're lucky with our group. Nothing like that. Obviously, some are more interested in other activity than others. One they hate knots but love science experiment and vice versa. Yep, good point. Good point. Clive, positive reinforcement. Derek, we do points with the winning patrol 6 and have a choice of the prize. Love it. And man is saying we've got 2 weeks of knots coming up for our clubs. Not consecutive weeks though. We do try and make it as interesting as possible. I'm not saying knots is a bad thing. Like, don't say I'm against knots. What I'm saying is that some people just don't do it. Me with Bush Scout, we have our topology, and I've spent many hours, many weeks watching the guys, and I'm still like, I can't do it. Paracord bracelet, doing the weaver. I think it's the weaver knot, cobra knot. I just can't do knots. It just makes up into one big mess, and it's not. I was impressed I made the little friendship lapel the other day, actually. I was very impressed with that. Maybe that's the week I don't come to scouts. Just going back to Leo's point, just bear in mind that Leo is new to scouting. He's been as a young person, and now he's moved over to being a leader. These things will happen to you, Leo. I guarantee you, if you talk to all the leaders that are watching now, at some point they've gone through this time where they've got those young people that just don't want to be there. So at the moment, you got a lucky group. Absolutely. At the moment, my section is amazing. I love them and I'm getting on well and I'm clicking with them. But I've had troops just recently, pre-COVID, that I didn't click with, I didn't gel with. And when we went camping, they were going to bed really early. They weren't up for a laugh, So at some point, it will happen to you. Believe me, it will happen. Peter saying, good evening. It's youth-led. Very actually doing scouting. Sometimes we have to run a program that differs from what we want to do. Yeah, and that's all that U-shape. I'm going to be doing a vlog about U-shape and how you can encourage your young people to put the programs together. And yeah, absolutely. Dan, publish your program. That way, if there's something they're not interested in, they don't turn up and disrupt the others, miss 4 weeks and they're out. Lovely. We've done that. And Dan, that's really interesting because I used to do that back in when I started, 12, 13, 14 years ago, whenever it was. People are getting in trouble tonight. I just chuckling. Yeah, so I used to do that in the back of the day, publish all my programs, and then I realized that they didn't turn up. I'd be running. I'm trying to think of what activity, and then the scouts. Actually, that's really rubbish. We're not going to turn up to that one. So maybe that's probably a good reason. Actually, maybe we should start rethinking about publishing the program. But it's on OSM, isn't it? And parents can log in. So our leaders make the program vary to cater for everyone. Plus, the young people get to put their ideas forward at the start of every term. Absolutely, Leo, you should. And that's all about U-shape. We were just talking about it. I'm running troop forums and log choose if you're beaver, cub packs. But yeah, getting their ideas. And that's how you should do your program, isn't it? And you get really good ideas. You might get badges that you're stuck in a rut that you repeat. You've done it for the last 4 or 5 years because it's really easy. You can turn up. And like tonight, I'm doing first aid. I don't even need to plan my first aid tonight because I know exactly what I'm going to do. So sometimes just asking the young people, actually, what badges do you want to do? And then trying to think outside the box. Because we did it last time and our scouts, some of the ideas you're like, God, How are you going to do that? How are we going to do climbing in the scout hall? Righty, why don't we go out for a trip? Charlotte, our program we send out, but put in code so you don't know what you're going to do and make fun to turn them out. So interesting, my friend Terry, who I probably mention all the time. When I first started, I used to ask Terry for scout programs. And his son Sam was the scout leader who sent me these programs, and they were all, as you've just said, Charlotte, were in code. So I have no idea what they would do, and it would be interesting. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, program-wise. And it'd be in code, and I'll be sitting there going, I have no idea what they're doing. So I had to go back, ask Sam, what were you doing that night? Then he would explain to me. I'm like, that makes sense. That makes sense. Spaghetti Junction. Now, Spaghetti Junction could be many different things, couldn't it? You know, I'm thinking top of my head, Spaghetti Junction could be spaghetti towers, making a tower with marshmallows and spaghetti. There's lots of things. Maybe you could do Spaghetti Junction spaghetti and doing knots. So you're cooking that spaghetti with the cold spaghetti and you're learning how to make knots. I think, Akela, just going back to your question, it's not about you quitting. Maybe it's about, maybe you need to take a little bit of time out and just take a week off, take 2 weeks off holiday. And what can you do? You could be like, maybe here, come up here and sort out the scout hut or the shed or craft cupboard or do some OSM or something. So don't let those young people make you want to quit scouts or cubs in your case. Maybe speak to the other leaders in your cub pack and ask them, hey, do you have a problem with these particular cubs? Because one, they're doing my head in. And often we do that in my scouts. Like there's 1 or 2 scouts that just want to wind you up or whatever. So ask your other peers for some advice. Maybe actually it is them and your other cub leaders are having the same problems, but they don't want to speak up. And then, as I said earlier on, go and speak to the parents, get the parents involved and just say, look, it's either they go or 3 or 4 leaders are going to go, and it's not going to be fun if we all go away. Okay, I think I've answered your question, and thank you for the other leaders who've been chipping in. I think that's the best advice, isn't it? We've got just to look at your program, maybe publish your program, maybe do what Sam done was put the program out, but put it in code. And yeah, those cubs might just not be interested in your program. That could be it. That could be that. I don't know. That's my guess.